today's topic? Make sure to subscribe to the Medsplaining podcast on your favorite podcast platform to never miss an episode. Summer is here, and with it comes more time outdoors and more skin irritations. Whether it's a sunburn, bug bite, bruise, or barbecue burn, you need something that works without harsh chemicals. That's where Zax's Original comes in. Developed by a pharmacist and created by a mom, Zax's Original offers first aid skincare products from bug bite and itch cream and burn cream to bruise cream. They have a fabulous eczema cream, an aches and pains cream, my personal fave, and more. Made with powerful natural ingredients like arnica, aloe, tea tree oil, and colloidal oatmeal, whether you're dealing with the heat, bugs, a muscle pull, or irritated skin, these products provide soothing, healing, and gentle relief for all skin types. Time to put some Zax's on it for soothing and healing skin. Proudly Canadian, Zax's Original is available at Shoppers Drug Mart, Rexall, and select Costco stores or online. See zaxsoriginal.com for more. If you're like me, you're just itching to get into summer. And now's the perfect time to plan for summer. Not just your activities, but also your skincare routine. Because let's be real, summer isn't always kind to our skin. Between sunburns, breakouts, and just feeling sweaty all the time, a little preparation and knowledge can go a long way. So today, we're breaking down the most common summer skin problems, how to prevent them, and how to treat them. And I'm so happy to have Dr. Jennifer Tran back on Medsplaining to give us the best tips for taking care of our skin this summer. Dr. Tran is an incredible double board certified dermatologist, as well as a mom of 2 children and a dog. She was a guest on season 1 of Medsplaining, so you should check out our earlier episode all about things skincare. Welcome, Dr. Tran, to Medsplaining. It's so good to see you again. I'm so excited to be back here with you launching season 2. How have you been?
I've been good. Thank you so much for having me back. You know, I like hanging out here with you.
Amazing. Thank you. We like hanging out with you too.
Everything's been good. I think since last time, you know, when I saw you, I was like still on mat leave, I think. And now I'm back at work full time. And the baby is like grown up now. She's like a toddler. So things are
we
different.
actually work together, but we never see each other. So it's nice to catch up here. Any plans for the summer?
We're going to Niagara-on-the-Lake in May, keeping it local and Canadian.
That's fine. That's fine. Got to do it.
So I'm really excited for that. But we are bringing the whole family. So we're going to bring the dog, the baby, and the toddler. So I don't know if it's really going to be a vacation or not.
Probably not for you. As much for the kids and the dog, maybe. They might have a great time.
Yeah.
That's funny. Speaking of dogs, I know, thank you so much for, you reached out when we lost our little doggy back in January. And I also wanted to share, actually, that we got a new rescue dog.
Did you really?
Yeah, we did. Her name's Benny. She's a 5-year-old Frenchie who was rescued from a really bad breeding situation. And we got her about a month ago.
Oh my gosh.
And she's just the funniest, cutest, sweetest little thing. So she's filled our home with a lot of joy and amusement again. And it's been a very healing experience. And I wanted to share that with everybody because everyone was so kind and sent so much love and honored our sweet little Effie. So that's something I'm looking forward to this summer is just spending time with her. And my girls are back from school. So it's going to be hopefully a really nice summer ahead. Anyway, I am so excited to talk about summer skincare concerns with you. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick ad break. Let's take a quick moment to give a shout out to our fantastic sponsor, Zax's Original. While we're all excited for the sunny days ahead, we know it will bring its fair share of skin troubles, from sunburns to bug bites and those little bumps and bruises that seem to pop up out of nowhere. You need something that works without all the harsh chemicals. Stock up on Zax's Original first aid skincare products, your go-to solution for soothing relief. Now's the time with a summer value pack available at Costco.ca and in select Costco stores, and it's packed with summer essentials. Bug bite and itch cream, the burn cream, both of which contain healing natural ingredients like arnica, aloe, tea tree oil, and colloidal oatmeal. They're gentle yet incredibly effective, providing the care your skin deserves. Mom created and developed by a pharmacist, Zax's Original is the trusted first aid skincare solution for families. You can find the Zax's Original Summer Value Pack at Costco or check it out online at zaxsoriginal.com. Trust me, you'll want to stock up. So this summer, let nature soothe and heal your skin the way it was meant to. Time to put some Zaxes on it. Check out Zax's Original for more details. So today we're talking summer skincare and how it might differ in some ways from what we typically would see in the winter. So what are some of the most common things you tend to see in the summer?
There are different things that walk into the clinic in the summer. So definitely sunburns for sure, especially in kids, unfortunately. Lots of parents will, forget to apply it to one area, like forget to apply sunscreen to one area, or, the kid is on their own at school and then they forget to apply it. And so unfortunately, that is something we see a lot.
Yeah.
Tons of bug bites. Like every day, someone comes in with new bites and they're so itchy, and how to treat that, how to deal with it. Obviously, things like sweating, like hyperhidrosis, that becomes more of an issue in the summer. And then there's like a lot of weird random things like heat rash, otherwise known as miliaria rubra. That's really common. Those are kind of the things that I tend to see in the summer.
Okay. So these sound like things that are really affected by the heat. I'm assuming common bug bites might not come in, but maybe I'm wrong there. Like, do you see things where people are like, I don't know what bit me. What could this be? Or they're worried about maybe a tick bite?
Yeah, actually, tick bites are a big thing for sure. And, ruling out Lyme disease, I've seen it a lot, even in Ontario. So that's important to recognize early on. But just bites in general, because they're not obvious. Like, people don't necessarily see the bug biting them the way you would like a mosquito or a bee. Could be things like bed bugs, which tend to be more of a thing in the summer as well. So yeah, it's something that I do actually see a lot.
What are some of the big mistakes you see people making in terms of approaching the summer, in terms of what they're putting on their skin, how they're treating their skin?
So the most important part of your summer skincare routine definitely is going to be your sunscreen. And it matters what kind of sunscreen you use, what level of SPF, and what kind of skin you have.
Okay.
If you have certain skin disorders that are more prone to pigmentation, like for melasma, you really have to up your sunscreen game in the summer, I find.
For anyone who doesn't know, can you explain what melasma actually is?
So my mom has melasma, and so I've seen it kind of my whole life growing up. And I also wondered if I would get it after my 2 kids. Basically, it looks like brownish gray patches on your face. It usually happens on the cheeks. It can sometimes happen over the lip and even on the forehead. It can actually happen in men and women. It's really hard to treat. It gives you these like persistent patches. You really should see your dermatologist to talk about different options for treatment. It can be something that can last a long time and recur.
There's a theory, but from my readings, actually, it's never been conclusively proven that hormones actually trigger melasma, and it might be multifactorial. What are the ways that we can treat it and manage it?
So melasma is so common. Definitely has a hormonal component. They call it the mask of pregnancy, as you know. So it can happen in pregnancy. It can happen with oral contraceptive pills. But a big factor is sun exposure, for sure. The best treatments for melasma are probably prescribed by a dermatologist. Usually we would use a short course of hydroquinone. There are some other ingredients that can be helpful for melasma, like cysteamine, tranexamic acid, but these all have to be used kind of cautiously under the supervision of your dermatologist. And then sunscreen is so important. Melasma is one of those weird conditions where even like heat from cooking or like a sauna or a hot tub or visible light in your house indoors in the dead of night can worsen it. So you really have to be wearing an excellent sunscreen, at least SPF 50 every single day, and ideally tinted containing iron oxide. That's like the key to really preventing it from coming back.
That's fantastic. It's funny. Like what I meant, I guess, yes, oral contraceptive pills have really high doses of hormone. Pregnancy, really high doses of hormone, your own hormones, but high doses. Hormone therapy tends not to be associated with melasma, but I had one patient who did develop it, and she lives in Bermuda.
Okay.
So tons of sun exposure relative to my average patient.
Yeah.
So it really got me thinking of how important it is to counsel about if you have excessive sun exposure. Yes, you absolutely want to.
That's a good point. I've never seen it in someone on HRT.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Because we're talking super low doses in comparison. But I was reading recently, and this was really interesting. It seems to be more the progesterone. Estrogen's always the bad guy. Estrogen gets blamed for absolutely everything. But melasma's more recently been linked more to progesterone.
Because I think a lot of women are like afraid to go on HRT for that reason. They're worried that it'll flare other things. But that's really good to know, like for me to know.
Right, right. Because there are ways to avoid the high doses of progesterone. You know, Mirena is a great example, or using the progesterone vaginally. Like there are ways around it.
Yeah.
There are ways to minimize it. But you're right. The sunscreen is crucial. And I think we start to appreciate that more as we get older, right? I'm thankful as a kid. I grew up in the age where we'd slather ourselves in oil and lie out in the sun, and I was just too impatient to do that.
Yeah.
And every day now I'm like, I'm so glad I was too impatient to do that, because I think it definitely helped. It saved my skin, a lot of trauma.
To your previous question about like things that people can do, there are over-the-counter products that are good for melasma. Like let's say you're waiting to see your dermatologist, or you've tried those other things already and they haven't really worked for you. There's more ingredients now that are proved for hyperpigmentation that probably help a lot. Like, for example, azelaic acid would help a little bit. Over-the-counter retinols can help a little bit, but you have to be really careful because they also make you more sensitive to the sun. There's a new ingredient called thiamidol, which for a while was only available in Europe, but now you're going to see more products with it in Canada. And then something called melasil, which is also good for hyperpigmentation.
That's fantastic. What about lasers?
Lasers definitely, and chemical peels. It kind of depends on the type of melasma. So you can have like superficial or deep melasma. If it's deep, it's really hard to treat even with lasers. And then it's like a balance in terms of your active ingredients. So on the one hand, it's fine to use things like retinol in the summertime because you still want to get your anti-aging benefits and your skin is more moisturized because it's more humid rather than in the winter. But then it does make you more sensitive to the sun, so you really have to be careful.
And you want to put it on at night, right? A retinol?
Yes.
Okay. For that reason, right? Like you don't want to put it on and then run right out into the sunlight.
Yes. And also some retinols are deactivated by light. So it's more effective if you use it at nighttime.
Okay. Perfect. And should we be changing our skincare routine? We want to add in some sunscreen for sure. But what about the types of moisturizers we use? Can those be different in the summer versus the winter?
Yeah, I usually tell people to go with a lighter moisturizer. In the winter, I'll tell people to slather on like the thick, like occlusive moisturizers that really like seal in water in your skin. Yeah. But in the summertime, you could go with something lighter. I think that would be fine.
Let's get a little more into sunscreen. People are very concerned, and I get a lot of questions from viewers asking, should I be using mineral? Should I be using chemical? Is there a problem with chemical sunscreen? How much SPF do I need? And is it really as advertised in terms of SPF? So can you run us through a little bit about how to make that decision when you're faced with a million products?
So as a dermatologist, I use both. I use mineral sunscreens and chemical sunscreens, and I actually do use both on my kids as long as they're over 6 months of age.
I was going to ask about that, yeah.
I find that the chemical sunscreens go on much nicer. So for my own day-to-day, if I want it to go on nicely under my makeup, for example, then I will definitely opt for a chemical sunscreen. But lots of patients and parents would prefer mineral sunscreen, which is fine. They do tend to have more of a white cast. So sometimes you go for something that's micronized, so either zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. And they do have new formulations out now that are a little bit more elegant when you put them on. Both are totally fine. In terms of SPF, you want to look for at least SPF 30. That'll block like 97.5% of UV rays. And for most people, that's perfect. Unless you have melasma, then you should really go SPF 50.
Okay. And what do you say to the people who are afraid of chemical sunscreen?
So there are a few ingredients that are controversial and banned in other countries. For example, oxybenzone is one that really might be, bad for you. But there are ingredients that I think are safe in chemical sunscreen. So I'd probably just maybe avoid oxybenzone.
Okay, that's great advice, especially when obviously there's a lot of choices we make on for ourselves, for our family, for our children. But kids under 6 months, stick with mineral sunscreen or just occlusive.
Yeah, so if they're under 6 months, they're not supposed to use any sunscreen at all.
Okay.
So just shade, with umbrella, keep them out of the sun during peak hours, UPF clothing. If you're in a pinch though, like you are, walking outside and it's crazy and you just want them to be protected, I would opt for a mineral sunscreen for under 6 months if
Fantastic.
You have to.
Okay. And what's some at-home advice for people who get a sunburn? What do you recommend? What are the danger signs and what can you use to soothe it?
I have so many patients come in like for their skin checks in the summer with a sunburn and they feel so guilty. They come in like looking so
I'm
ashamed.
shocked they can get in so quickly because usually it's a long wait. And,
I know,
to get it, if you still have the sunburn by the time you see the dermatologist, that must be a heck of a
Yeah. Or they have their tan lines and they're so ashamed to see me. And I'm like, I should really be yelling at you as your dermatologist. But anyways, what a derm would do is probably we would apply a topical steroid because it decreases the inflammation. It can prevent worsening of the burn. And that would just be for a few days. Okay. But for like your average sunburn, you can just do something like aloe, cool compresses on the skin. You can take some anti-inflammatories like NSAIDs, like Advil, things like that to kind of decrease the pain and inflammation in the skin.
What about an over-the-counter steroid? I mean, people can have 0.5% or 1%.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great option for sure.
Fantastic.
And that pretty much can be safely used anywhere on the body.
Okay, because people are also scared of steroids.
I know.
We've really confused people. And I'm glad we have these opportunities to kind of unpack a little bit of that and explain it, make people a little more comfortable. Are there any ingredients someone should avoid after too much sun exposure or a sunburn?
So basically stop all of your active skincare, I would say, if you get a sunburn. So like no retinol, no azelaic acid, no vitamin C, nothing that can irritate the skin further.
Okay.
Because your skin is still just healing. So I would, and no like toner, no abrasive scrubs. I would just use like a gentle cleanser, gentle moisturizer until the sunburn is resolved.
So a lot of patients complain they break out more in acne, even women who think they should be way past this. What's your advice for managing breakouts in the summer months?
So it can really be more common, probably from sweating under your makeup and that can clog your pores a little bit and your sebaceous glands can be more active in the summer. So my advice to prevent acne from worsening in the summer is to always use a good cleanser for acne-prone skin. A lot of people are using hypochlorous acid now. So for example, if you're outside on a hot day or you're right after a workout, you can spray hypochlorous acid on your acne-prone areas. It's kind of anti-everything. Like it's anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antifungal, and it can really prevent acne from forming. It's great on the body as well.
Oh, that's great to know. What about hyperhidrosis? You touched on this a little more. So can you explain what it is for anyone who hasn't heard of it? And then what are some effective ways of managing this in the summer months?
So hyperhidrosis is basically excessive sweating. It can happen, in the armpits, on the hands, or on the feet, on the face. And it can be really embarrassing for patients who have it. They really hate it sometimes. And that can definitely get worse in the summer. Lots of treatments. Best to talk to your doctor about it. But kind of first-line treatment would be using something like Drysol, which is just over the counter. It's a liquid that you put onto your sweaty area, like, for example, your palms. You do it at night, you wash it off in the morning. And the trick is you have to keep doing it until anhydrosis. So until the sweating really decreases, then you can kind of wean off to the lowest amount required. Beyond that, Botox is excellent and approved for hyperhidrosis of the armpits. It lasts for about 6 months. And it's often covered by insurance plans, which is great because otherwise it can be pricey.
Yes. And how often would someone typically come in for those treatments?
Like once every 6 months. It works really well.
That's fantastic. And that's going to be really helpful. You've given us some fantastic advice today, really specific advice, which I know people appreciate. And tell everybody where they can find you.
So I'm on Instagram and TikTok.
Yes.
My handle is Dr. Jen Tran, so DrJennTran.
Dr. Tran, thank you so much for being here and helping us learn about all things skincare.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Tran shared some great advice today on treating some common summer skin issues that we can all experience. I know it's not always easy, though, to get in to see a dermatologist right away, especially for minor skin issues like sunburns, bug bites, or skin irritations. And honestly, some of those minor skin things don't always require a dermatologist's attention, or they're gone by the time the appointment comes around. So here's a quick tip. There are some over-the-counter options that can help soothe and support healing. One first aid skincare line worth checking out is Zax's Original. They offer creams for things like burns and bug bites. They're made with natural ingredients, which I personally love, and you can find them in the first aid aisle at most pharmacies. Just a little something to keep in your medicine cabinet so you're not stuck dealing with those summer skin ailments longer than you have to. But remember, if you have a skin issue that's ongoing or not healing, you will want to see your doctor and get it checked out. Oh, and by the way, you have an opportunity right now to win a Zax's Original gift set with Zax's Original Bruise Cream, Burn Cream, Bug Bite and Itch Cream, Scar Cream, Eczema Cream, and Aches and Pains Cream, packed in a Zaxxas original cosmetic bag valued at over $130. So head over to Instagram and look for the contest announcement reel. Follow both Medsplaining and Zaxxas, like the post, and tag a friend for your chance to win. The contest closes on May 30th, 2025, so head on over there right now to enter. All right, so that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Medsplaining. If you have any questions, shoot me a DM. And if you'd like this episode, the best thing you can do is tell a friend or rate and review it wherever you listen to your podcast so other women can discover it. And don't forget, if you're listening to this, you may be happy to know that we video every single episode, so you can watch it if you prefer on YouTube. See you next week. Medsplaining is produced by Ghost Bureau. Thank you for tuning in to Medsplaining. While we strive to provide accurate and insightful information, this podcast is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The opinions expressed by our host and guests are their own and should not be interpreted as medical advice. Every individual's health situation is unique, and it is crucial to consult with a qualified healthcare provider regarding your specific concerns and conditions. Additionally, any links, resources, or references mentioned in our episodes are provided for informational purposes only and are not sponsored by Medsplaining. The producers and hosts of Medsplaining assume no responsibility or liability for any actions taken as a result of listening to our podcast. We encourage you to use the information presented here as a starting point for discussions with your healthcare provider. Information and references are subject to change based on scientific evidence as it evolves over time. The hosts and producers of Medsplaining are not responsible for future changes to the information and references and assume no obligation to update based on future developments. Remember, your health and well-being are paramount. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to exploring more topics in women's health with you in future episodes.